All right, everybody, rise and shine. The next 5 rounds of the Progressive American Flat Track season, they're going to be daytime races, and we're kicking off with the Peoria TT. What's up, everybody? It's Scotty here with Flat Track Flashback, and wanted to get a quick little preview in here. Obviously, you noticed we took last week off from doing these little shows, and it's going to be a brief hiatus here coming up as well. It's just a handful of broadcast commitments are going to load up the schedule. I'm not going to be able to dedicate the time that you guys deserve to these videos, but I wanted to get something out super quick before Peoria kicks off over the weekend, and also a couple international rounds that we'll touch on as well. All right, full disclosure on this, everybody. We had an entire episode recorded, and then the whole world fell apart. So today, it was announced by Ascension Racing that the AFC SuperTwins points leader, Dallas Daniels, has broken his femur while training for the Peoria TT. And he's undergone successful surgery and hopes to return to action as soon as possible. And that throws a huge wrench into this title chase. As we go into Peoria, Jared Mees was 19 points down on Dallas entering this round. And Brandon Robinson was 30 points back. And then Briar Bauman sits another 49 behind Dallas. Coming into this round, Dallas was having a super season. He was leading AFT in basically all categories. Along with Briar and Jared, Dallas had 3 wins. What separated him this year is that he'd never been off the podium. 10 races, 10 podiums. 10 races, he'd also been in the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge every single time. I mean, Dallas was putting together a championship caliber season, and this is just, it's devastating to see, another top rider go down in this class, and just super unfortunate for Dallas, who looked like he was on his way to his first Super Twins title, and we wish him all the best, and Dallas, we hope you get well soon. Dallas, of course, not the only rider who's going to be out with injury. We saw Bronson Bauman, that I'll probably seen the video circulating around social media with Bronson, who broke his collarbone, and Bronson was a former podium finisher at Peoria. So no Dallas, no Bronson at Peoria, and just a massive shakeup in the Super Twins class coming into this week. With that news of Dallas being out, it does mean that Ascension has a void to fill. And they have done that. So JD Beach is going to come back to flat track racing this weekend. He's going to be at Peoria. And JD is riding a 3-race win streak at Peoria. He's won the Super Twins class every race dating back to 2021. He's got to look to extend that streak. Obviously, Peoria, no stranger to long winning streaks in the Premier class, from the Prince of Peoria, Chris Carr, until King Henry Wiles taking over for however many years that was, like 14, 15, 200, however long it was that Henry Wiles won races there. So obviously a massive shakeup in the points. This is gonna be very interesting to see how things shake out at Peoria. A rider who I think could really capitalize off of this is Briar Bauman. And while he is 30 points behind Jared Mees at this point, Briar's gotten the better of Jared at Peoria recently. Briar's performances at Peoria have been fantastic. If it weren't for Henry Wiles and JD Beach, Briar would have several wins, and not just the one that he got in 2019. JD, having run Moto America all year, I don't know how much time he's got on the flat track bike. I still think JD's going to hop right on those Essenson machines and be super competitive. And I think it'd be a bit of a shock if JD doesn't end up on the podium at Peoria. But I think Briar is probably the favorite to win. I figured Briar was probably the favorite to win prior to Dallas's injury, and definitely more so now. Briar, again, he has a win there. He's never finished off the podium since 2017, since running its win at Peoria. Got 4 runner-up finishes, and I know he's probably tired of being the bridesmaid at that track and wants to get back on top of the box again, and maybe start a little bit of a late-season charge to become a bit of a factor in this championship. And Jared has not been bad at Peoria necessarily. He's just not been on top of the box. He's got a couple of podiums. He's been inside the top 5 every time on a twin, with a best finish of second back in 2017 behind Henry Wiles, but Jared hasn't been able to stand on that top step at Peoria. Coming into this, you got to feel like he's probably the favorite to maybe grab hold of this championship and make that historical 10th title his once the season's all said and done. His closest title rival at this time, Brandon Robinson, sits 11 points back. And, we've all talked about TTs not being Brandon's specialty. And Brandon has finished just inside the top 10 at Peoria the past few years on that Indian, 7th, 8th, and the 10th collectively over those 3 seasons, 2021 to 2023. which makes that DuQuoin result where Brandon finished back in 8th all that more devastating to that championship hunt, because this is the opportunity for Jared to stretch out from Brandon Robinson, but for potentially Breyer to close up on him. Another rider I think can factor into the podium is Jared Vanderkooy. And Jared has been inside the top 5 3 years in a row. And since hopping on a twin at Peoria, his worst finish was 7th. Vanderkooy just missing out on the podium a couple of times. And I think this could be a year where maybe he and Jared Mees end up in a little bit of a battle for that 3rd spot. And maybe Vanderkooy could take more points away. And I mean, if Jared finishes off the podium, then Dallas still is technically going to be the point leader heading into Sturgis week, even though he won't be able to race. It'll be interesting to see what Vanderkooy is able to do on the TT. If nothing else, I feel like he's probably in a good spot to take hold of that 5th place in the championship. He's outperformed Davis Fisher and Brandon Price at Peoria. And now looking at our rookies in the Super Twins class, Max Whale and Trevor Bruder account for the last 3 singles victories at Peoria. Max credited with 2, and Trevor Bruder, the most recent winner at Peoria in the single in 2023. So those riders obviously up in the Super Twins class now, fighting for that Super Twins Rookie of the Year. And Max is coming off of a couple of top 5s there as well. His 2 wins and then a 4th place last year. And while Bruder didn't have the best debut at Peoria with a pretty gnarly crash over the jump, he did come back with the 3rd in 2022 and then his win last year on the single. Again, these guys coming up in the Twins class, I don't know that I expect them to podium, but things are a little bit wide open. Other than I really feel like Breyer and Jaden being the favorites, there could be a lot of shuffling going on from potentially 3rd and definitely in those fights for the top 5. So Bruder and Max wants to keep an eye on there, but the rookie who's had the best finish of the season is Declan Bender. He's coming off the 6th place finish in DuQuoin. Grant, a mile versus a TT, completely different story, but Declan's going to be riding that wave of confidence, and he's looked so good on that Indian this year. Again, just massive, earth-shattering news with Dallas Daniels now out. And then we get to see the return of JD Beach. But again, just our hearts go out to Dallas. Our hearts go out to Bronson as well, who's out. And just all the riders who have gotten banged up this year. I mean, there's just been this cloud just hanging over this series this year. It seems like we started so well in Daytona and then just had the rug ripped out from under us, the house crumbling down. And it's just really, really, really unfortunate turn of events the way this has happened. And Dallas, we're thinking of you. Bronson, we're thinking of you. The riders who've been injured this year and haven't been able to complete the season, we hope you're able to heal up. And when 2025 rolls around, we hope to see everybody back in full strength out on the track. But just devastating news for Dallas and that Estenson team. So, we'll see what happens there in Thunder Valley with the Super Twins class. Wild time. No championship is safe. So. Let's see how, what's going to happen in the singles. Moving on to the singles class, barring, again, a surprise appearance, I feel like our podium is probably going to be pretty set in stone by our usual suspects, the guys who have really dominated the singles class. And coming into this, I would almost put Tom Drain as the favorite to win. Tom has been phenomenal off the line this year on that Yamaha. And I feel like a whole shot at Peoria is going to be super vital and being able to control this race. And I just think Tom is probably the most likely candidate to pick up a win after being a runner-up last year. However, current point leader, Cody Kopp, he does have a 3rd place finish from last year, 4th the year before. He's been climbing his way up. Obviously if trends hold true, then it'd be 4-3 and then 2 this year. But Cody's not looking for a runner-up. I know he wants that first Peoria win on the single. His dad picked up a win there in 1997. And Cody's going to be looking for that first Peoria win. He made the highlight reel his rookie year over the jump. And I think he'll be looking to make a highlight in a different way. What's interesting is this year, the longest Cody's had to go between wins was from when he won at Sonoy and then didn't win again until Chico. So Texas and Ventura in between those two. Man, if he can get a win at Peoria, Cody's not mathematically the champion yet. He's still got that point lead north of 30 in the singles class, but he has that point lead over Chase Sadoff at the moment with Tom Drain being in 3rd. And Cody's been runner-up to the rider that has been 3rd in the standings the past 2 rounds, so he hasn't really bled any points to that lead. Even if he finishes runner-up and Tom wins, he's still going to grow his point lead by, a couple extra points, which does bring us to Chase Sadoff. And Chase has a 5th and a 6th on a single during his Peoria TT showings. And Chase is another rider who's been really strong out of the gate, gotten up front early, been really aggressive. And what's been exciting about Chase's season is that not only does he have those 2 wins under his belt, he's coming off a win in his home state, Peoria, still in Illinois, so he can carry that momentum as well. But Chase he's been able to stay up in the hunt every single race. We don't have any DNFs out of that team. He's been up in the fight for the podium and really put a lot of consistency together. Nobody's been able to touch Cody on a consistency level yet. He keeps getting wins. He keeps staying on the box. 4th is his worst finish. But Chase has put together a very strong year, and that extra level of aggression, we'll see what he can do out there at Peoria. I do think some variation of Draney, Kopp, and Chase Sadoff will be on the podium. But after that, it's completely wide open. 4th and 5th in points at the moment are Trent Lowe and James Ott, neither of which has had a stellar run at Peoria. James Ott has struggled especially, even though he's been in the main event, been outside the top 10 recently. And Trent Lowe's best finish at Peoria is currently a 7th, which was last year. So at least inside the top 10, but who knows who else could factor into that? This could be a potential another top 5 for Evan Kelleher. Could this be where Evan Renshaw gets maybe his first podium of the year? You have to get up there in that mix with Chase, Tom, and Cody and stick with them for that full duration. What are we going to get out of Santero, Pettin, Bronson Pierce showing up, Justin Anselmi on the pre-entry list at the moment? Those numbers aren't exactly stellar, 13 in the twins and 17 in the singles. So we'll see what happens as we get closer to showtime there on the TT. But it should be fun. We're, our first TT of the season. Peoria, such an iconic venue there in the Valley. It's a TT stable on the schedule for forever, and I hope it's a track that sticks around. You're going to hear a lot of Caterpillar ads, but it should be an interesting race, and we'll see how it sort of sets up this swing of daytime racing. Meanwhile, around the world, you've got the FIM Flat Track Championship, which kicked off on a TT there in Italy, and it was won by Lasse Kurvinen. I hope I've got that name right, as he took the win there in Italy over Tim Neve and our guy Sammy Halbert coming home 3rd, with Irvin Krajcevic and Gerard Bayo coming up in the top 5. And Krajcevic and Bayo were at Daytona in 2023, so it was cool to see those guys come over, along with Burt Whistle. See some international flair here in the States from other countries beside Australia. So this is a series I'm obviously going to keep an eye on. In that race, Sammy got a pretty bad start in that main event, which allowed Kurvinen and Tim Neve to sort of check out and be 1-2 up front. But Sammy and Krajcevic had a nice little back and forth there for 3rd that saw Sammy get into 3rd late in that race. Just not enough time to chase down the 2 leaders. But he's starting his quest for the FIM championship there in 3rd place. And that series moves into Germany this weekend for round 2, actually. North of the border, you got the Flat Track Canada Series back in action for round 4 this weekend at Dresden Speedway in Ontario. And currently, Tyler Seguin leads the Open Expert Series over Don Taylor. But Justin Jones, representing for the U.S., he's swept every race in the DTX Expert class. It's cool to see Jones up there mixing it up with those riders. Also, Brandon Newman has run in that series as well. And just neat seeing, Seguin and Taylor and Justin Jones, Doug Lawrence. Some good competition up there. Dominic Bolak, too. I wish these races could somehow end up on Fans' Choice again. I've gotten to see a sprinkling of them every once in a while in the past, but it's cool to see if Flat Track Canada could eventually partner with Fans' Choice and end up having those races showcased on that platform continuously. This is a fun series and neat to keep track of. The tracks that they run on them, some of them look incredible and look like a lot of fun to ride. So we'll see how that season continues to progress and how things play out this weekend up there in Dresden. After Peoria, we're going to move into Sturgis, and the Black Hills Half Mile is going to be during the day, and I think that's an interesting move. I understand that they don't want to compete with the concerts that are going on at the Buffalo Chip, but running Rapid City during the day, on a Tuesday, partial sellout, emphasis on the partial is, I think, what we can expect. And it's just a track that, during the day, and pretty much any flat track race during the day is going to present you with a lot of one-line racing unless you're on a pea gravel or like a fair type racetrack. I don't think it's going to be a fantastic race, and it's going to bleed into a fiasco in the streets of Sturgis, where there will be people for sure, because it's a free event in the middle of downtown. So there's going to be people at that Sturgis TT. But I don't love the idea of running Rapid City during the day again. We'll go through Sturgis, and then we've got Springfield on the back end of that in the day stretch. their Labor Day weekend. So before all that happens, again, Peoria TT coming up this weekend. Time to get excited, time to get jumpy. It's going to be a fun round. Iconic venue again on the schedule, and just super thankful that it gets to still be part of the schedule. And we'll see how things play out and who can shake it up. Will we have any surprises, or are the usual suspects going to rise to the occasion? So make sure you check it out. Obviously, if you can't attend the race, if you can't be on the hillside there, if you can't be consuming those Peoria burgers, you can check out the action on Flo Racing. I heard the short track that normally runs on Friday is not going to happen this year, but that Galesburg is going to be running the night before if you want to get a little short track racing in before the TT for you guys up there and fans that are traveling in. Check that out and support that local motorcycle club. Also, support those that are creating content for this sport and talking about it and pushing the news. Tank Slapping Podcast, appointment listening every week, as well as Off the Groove with Scotty Dubler every Friday. I love that they're able to sort of have a schedule set up and give us something to look forward to on those days every week. It definitely makes my Wednesdays and Fridays a lot better. Thank you all so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for being fans of the sport and for coming to check us out. Again, we're going to be off for a little while until the end of Sturgis, and then we'll recap where everything sits there. Also coming up later in the year, guys, please make sure you look into Baker's Bash, Brad Baker's race, as well as the Corey Texter Promotions Hagerstown Flat Track race. The Baker's Bash will be in Michigan in August, and Corey's race in September in Hagerstown the week after the finale, actually. So please support those events if you can. These are two riders who have been just incredible ambassadors for the sport, amazing competitors on the track, amazing people off the track. So support their events, keep these things going, keep them wanting to promote more, and to bring continue to bring amazing events for riders and fans alike. Again, thanks again for supporting us, and have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy Peoria. If you head out to Sturgis, enjoy Bike Week. Have a great time, everybody. Be safe, and we will talk to you in a couple of weeks. Much love, everybody. Peace.